Disclaimer: before the video starts, this rant and review is not meant to make fun of nor offend any people and fans who like this cartoon. It's simple just for content and fun, but I do have to give my honest opinion about this cartoon and explain my personal thoughts and reasons why I am not a fan of this show anymore nor why I don't care for it or like nowadays. Thank you for reading the message. Now back to the video.
Hello guys, back again with another rant commentary video, but this time this rant will be a bit different. This rant is not anything drama related involving a user, or something I don't like. It's instead going to be a review, sort of, on a show I used to like, but as of 2026, and nowadays don't like or watch anymore. The show, of course, as you read the title of this video, is The Loud House. But before I start this video about my honest opinion and review/rant on the show, I just wanted to clear up a few things and say some things as well first. So first off, the reason why I didn't do rants for a while was because I left and quitted the Goanimate community due to drama and personal related issues, as long with my rapper Oddling crashing and wasn't able to fix it and it was removed from my computer as it caused my computer to crash as well. And second, to anyone who is a fan or likes the show, then that's okay. I can handle your opinion as long as you can handle mine, but to anyone who bashes my opinion on the show, then your comment will be removed. And to fan brats of this show especially who will try to bash my opinion or try forcing me to like it, then you will be blocked from channel. But just know it's my opinion and choice to not like the show or dislike it anymore, since at the end of the day it's my opinion. But anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get into the rant, shall we? The Loud House, in my honest opinion, has got to be one of the worst Nickelodeon cartoons and cartoon and animation history in general to ever exist. Let me explain and give reasons why I think it's the worst cartoon ever made and why I absolutely hate it nowadays. Number 1, when the show was first created back in May 2nd of 2016, 10 years ago as of right now, and its 10th anniversary was 4 months ago by now, it was created by the man of a monster himself. And that's right, I am talking, of course, about Chris Salvino, who did horrible things in real life before he made the show back in 2016, which I am not gonna go into detail or explain what he did as it's worth mentioning it. Number 2, it's very god-awful community and fandom it has, and dear lord, where do I even begin or start off with this fanbase it has? Well, first off, if you're anywhere on DeviantArt and just keep scrolling down the gallery, or just search up Loud House if you are curious, which I don't recommend that you do yourself, or get something Loud House related on YouTube, or anywhere else like Reddit, Twitter or TikTok, then you will see what I mean. One of the very well known and if not the worst and cringiest things to ever exist in humanity is, of course, Loud Chest, and for those who aren't aware or know what that is, which it shouldn't be that surprising to find on different social media platforms as it's very well known at this point, but for those who don't know, I will lightly explain what it is exactly without going into too much detail as it's disgusting and is also not worth mentioning either. Basically, all the best I can say is that it is a ship relationship related type of scenario where the main character Lincoln Loud gets shipped with one of or more than one of his sisters, which is really pretty disgusting itself and in its own right, and even though they are fictional characters at the end of the day, they are still portrayed as young kids, and that is very gross and disgusting what the fandom and especially the fans do when they have privileges of being on the internet and marking crappy and stupid fodder like this instead of doing something normal for once. And due to how bad Loud Chest is, it has caused many wars in the fandom/community, including normal fans who don't support it, which is exactly why I stopped being a fan and left the community in general. And also, for the record guys, I would rather choose and watch SpongeBob, The Angry Beavers, Rocko's Modern Life, and other better Nickelodeon shows over The Loud House, and I am glad I grew up with SpongeBob and was always a SpongeBob fan to begin with, thankfully. And speaking of the fans, fandom and community being just terrible, weird and gross, this brings us to reason number 3, terrible fanfiction comics. Now I know whenever a cartoon or series gets popular, fans like to make comics out of the series, but usually most fan-made comics are lighthearted or sweet, but not The Loud House. There is no such thing as a normal comic or lighthearted comic ever made in the fandom's history, since the fans are not normal at all. No, there are hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of terrible fan-made Loud House comics, and since I don't want this to be an entire hour-long video, I will only mention a few well-known terrible Loud House comics that have been talked and discussed about on YouTube. There are at least 4 well-known disturbing Loud House comics where Lincoln is either a victim or is shipped with someone that's one of his sister's friends or blood related, and the 4 comics in question are It's Not Your Fault, The Secret, I Love My Brother, and We Ride the Stars, all of which are just terrible, and I don't recommend you look up or read these comics yourself since they are very terrible and aren't worth reading either. And let's talk about the artists who made the comics real quick, but it's not gonna take long. It will just be a quick summary of the people who made these terrible comics in the first place. The first artist who made the It's Not Your Fault comic like both Chapter 1 and 2 name is Javismiria, and the person who made the secret both Chapter 1 and 4 is called Sketchtoon, and the guy who made Rewrite the Stars is Kale Underrated Hero, and last and finally the person who made the Notorious Love My Brother comic and also both Chapter 1 through 4 is none other than Jump Jump, and a very disturbing fact about him was that he is the only known individual who got arrested after making the comic since his country is the United Kingdom and since it has very strict laws about making fan fiction about specific cartoons with characters that look underaged which can lead to you getting arrested. At least some justice was served since I don't think he was thinking straight while making the comic. And the same thing goes for the other artists who made the other disturbing well-known comics in the fandom, since it seems like they are unstably well in real life when they made these comics. And also speaking of Jump Jump, before he was arrested made the character who was basically an abomination creation and is the result and is what happens when Lincoln and Lucy have a kid, and her name is Loopaloud and she is often associated with the Sin Kids which is also associated with the negative side of the fandom community. And speaking of the Sin Kids, that is a good segue to reason number 4, the Sin Kids fandom. Basically if you don't know what the Sin Kids are then that's okay, because I myself have never heard or even known about until December of 2025 of last year. Basically like I said with the other things I just talked about, I'm going to explain them real quick as best as I can, but not go into too much detail about them like I did with the others since it isn't worth brightening up either. Basically all I can say and explain about the Sin Kids is that they are basically also abominations like with Loopaloud like I said before, but what they would look like if Lincoln and his other siblings had kids, and what would they look like with Lori, Lene, Luna, Lan, Lynn, Lucy who I mentioned earlier, Lola and Lana, Lisa and finally the Lily, despite them all being kids and straight up younger than him, and also that fact they all still come from a kid show, and yet all of the Sin Kids is the name says sins and abominations to society that should not have existed to begin with. Alright, I think that's enough talking about the Sin Kids. Let's move on to something else which also involves the Loud House and is also associated with the community as well, but on its negative side just like the Sin Kids. This part of the fandom doesn't involve comics or artwork, however, it's rather a game and Discord server, but trust me, a fan game and Discord server about the Loud House isn't good or normal either. So let's just get this over with before I lose my cool about this part of the fandom which I don't like at all, and I mean it seriously. The game and Discord server I am talking about is the Loudest House, and this is by far the worst thing to come out of the community ever. Not only is the name just terrible, but the content and gameplay of it is disgusting itself, and I don't know to explain this, but I will try to put it lightly as best I can. Basically in the game you play as Lincoln, of course, and your goal is to do tasks and partake in various activities involving the other characters and sisters, but the gameplay takes a dark turn for the worse, since you are forced to do very disgusting things to his sisters, since the server broke Discord's rules about 18+ content, and to delighted kids who like the show on it, which shame on the person who made it still for tricking kids into joining the server about a cartoon show, and for breaking the rules on Discord and not trying to set moderations to keep kids away from the server. But let's just stop talking about this god-awful horrible game and server and move on. Although it's still crazy how this guy made the entire game by hand himself, since he nearly spent years, months and weeks/days drawing and animating the characters, which is just straight up a waste of talent and skill of an artist/animator, since these artists and animators who make really good accurate depictions of the characters' designs from the actual show can do other better things than just that. But nope, since of course it's the Loud House and nothing good, normal or positive can come out of these animators and artists who have mental issues and problems in their brains when they make these types of animations and artworks of the show. Like, don't these artists and animators know there is more to life than just making artwork or animations of Lincoln being shipped with his sisters or other female characters that are around his age or older? Of course, not sickly, they don't care about anything else but the show and treat it like it's a gift from God. But in all seriousness, I am not trying to use that term or offend anyone that's religious. I'm only gonna say it once and use it once, but won't use it that much or use it in other videos like this again, I promise guys. But anyways, moving on. Number 5, speaking of what I said before, the next thing I will be talking about is Lincoln nearly getting shipped with every single female character in the show, both background, side and main characters like his friend Stella's Ahal, his sisters like I mentioned earlier, Ronnie Ann, Sid her best friend, her cousin, her mom, and even Lincoln's own mom, onto the random background female characters who were 10 times older than him, like all 3 of Bonnie's friends and Lori's friends like Carol and Whitney, and Maggie Lynn's best friend, and the list goes on and on. And that is one thing I get annoyed by from the fandom, and easily one of the things I absolutely hate and despise from the show and community itself. Like in one or multiple of the episodes, just one random female girl character that just appears for one episode or a brief moment and meditatively gets shipped with Lincoln, who was only just 11 but now 12 years old or probably 13 at this point, like Boer, who in the world just to meditatively do that. Like just because you think some random girl character who isn't even important to the show doesn't mean you can just ship them with Lincoln. Because not only is it just cringe and annoying to see, but also it's just plain weird to see, since these are girl characters that are older than them, which is just strange and creepy. And one artist that I know who makes several different comics involving Lincoln and a random girl character and his sisters is a Latin American artist called Mr. Box, who makes very inappropriate and disgusting vulgar comics involving the Loud House characters, which I am not going to explain or go into details about either, though he made two very disturbing Loud House comics too, which I am not gonna go over. So let's move on to reason number 6. Okay, so the last previous reasons and statements were mainly disgusting content related around who look and act like kids, since they are from a kid show still, along with a few other things like the creator's scandal right after he created the show and was fired afterwards. But there's another side of the fandom which is less horrible but still kinda gruesome, and that side of the fandom I am, of course, talking about the depressing and sad part of the community and fandom, as I like to call it, Sad House. So basically this one is not too dark or hard to explain, so I'm going to just go over it real quick since it's the least worst part of the fandom and community. Basically the Sad Loud House, as it's called on YouTube, involves Lincoln and his sister being put in dangerous and serious scenarios that happen in the real world, which I think stems from the two horrible episodes from the show, that, of course, being No Such Luck and Brawl in the Family, basically portraying and showing Lincoln going through difficult and hardships, and some fan-made artwork of him and his sisters, like Lincoln running away from home and becoming homeless, Lincoln getting hurt or dying by cancer or an accident as seen in some well-known footage from the fandom, or him being beat up by Lynn, or thinking that he is hated in the family in his dreams, or the other siblings also being hurt or dying as well, or the sisters grieving over him getting hurt or his death with cancer or accident, or him running away or grieving over another family member like the grandpa dying, or a family pet like Charles the dog dying. In my honest opinion, this is not the worst part of the community. It's way tamer than the Lincoln ships which I mentioned earlier, but it's still not better or good than the rest of the fandom and community, I will say that, but it's still brutal and gruesome to see the characters going through pain and torture in these fan-made artwork done by different artists, which is very high quality and detailed, but is still kinda too extreme and goes a little too far with the gore and brutality it has. Overall, this isn't the worst part of the community since it's more tame and least disturbing, but it's still disturbing seeing these child-friendly characters from a cartoon show once again being put through these different scenarios. Okay, this is the last and final reason and statement I will make as to why I don't like the Loud House anymore, and that reason is misleading and clickbaitable comic dub videos of fan-made comics on YouTube. For example, there are two users under the name the Frank and Michaela98 who make and milk Loud House comics with their thumbnails for content and views, which is called thirst baiting, which I am not gonna go into detail or explain what it is, as it's disgusting in its own right as well. But basically these two channels make videos involving the Loud House in their videos and thumbnails just for clicks and likes, and they just straight up milk Loud House content for views and subscribers, and creepy people who like loud chest into the cringy and gross things I mentioned earlier about the community. Not only are these comic dub videos bad and misleading with the thumbnails, but they, due to the vibrant colors, they can trick a kid into watching it thinking it's the Loud House, and what's worse, both these channels are from Latin America, and since the videos in Spanish, it can trick and let kids finding it on the recommendation pages on YouTube as well. And also that dubbing of the comics as well, along with the voices, are super low quality and annoying, and you can barely make it out as to what they are even saying. Not to mention the way the screen moves side to side makes it worse and can be very stressful if you have sensitive eyes. But yeah, that's gotta do it for this rant and commentary review as to why I don't like the Loud House anymore and why it sucks in my opinion nowadays, especially with the latest seasons and terrible episodes like No Such Luck and Brawl in the Family, and the creator scandal as well. In my honest opinion, once again I would have preferred the original concept involving a bunch of rabbits rather than humans, which they referenced in one episode. I don't like either as well, or the show not even exist in general, and it's just crazy how this show has existed for 10 years now. I hope it finally gets cancelled and pulled off the air forever and never gets any rewinds on Nickelodeon, since it's just plain bad nowadays and doesn't have many redeeming qualities about it. But that's gotta do it for this video, and for those wondering or curious if I am also gonna do rants or reviews on the other spin-off shows, like the Casa Grandes or the Really Loud House, or movies, etc., the answer is no, since I don't have an opinion or care for those other shows or movies anymore nowadays, and I'm only doing the actual show only and nothing else or anything to the show at all either. So please don't ask me to do other things related to it, since I'm only doing the actual show only, nothing else or more. This was an idea I actually had for a few weeks since last month now, but to do other things and work on other videos, and my personal life being complicated and busy, I am now just done making it, but better late than never as they always say, and thank good I got it over with before school starts for me this year. But this is gonna do for this video. I will see all next time for the next rant and commentary, but I don't know what to rant on next, since that's hard one. BTU, I am not gonna be ranting on bad users or anything else since that's drama related and it's good or healthy for me either to do anyways, and since I am no longer a part of that dynamite and drama community anymore nowadays, and don't ask me or force me to either, or else your comment will be blocked, and if you back or spam me to do it too, then you will be blocked too. Anyways, see you all in the next video. Peace out.
Now and then I think of when we were together.